Well, that sets the stage to go further in depth with our next guest, who believes we're heading for a repeat of the 2008 financial crisis. He is the former general counsel of the U.S. Treasury Department and former White House counsel to Ronald Reagan, as well as a distinguished AEI scholar. Checking in from Newsmax, Washington, the author of the book, Hidden in Plain Sight, What's Really Caused the World's Worst Financial Crisis and Why It Could Happen Again. It's Peter Wallison, and we should also note for the record that staying with us on our anchor desk in South Florida, it's our good friend Pete Hoekstra. So a plethora of Petes here. To Peter Wallison, it's ironic that President Obama would mention eBay. He brags on them, and then they announce the layoffs. What do you make of this?
Well, this isn't the first time the president has made a prediction that has turned out not to be true, and I'm afraid that the prediction he made about our turning the page and success is finally here may be premature also. We've had an economy since the last recession, which ended in 2009, we've had an economy that simply has moved in spurts. It's gone up a little bit, and then it's fallen back. It's gone up a little bit more, and then it's fallen back. And when he talks about huge numbers of people being employed, he's, of course, just talking about a recovery. We're really not in a position where we should have been if, after this last recession, we had the kind of recovery that we had, for example, with Ronald Reagan.
Pete Hoekstra, let me get your input. To paraphrase Churchill, said, in politics, you claim credit for things you had nothing to do with, and you avoid the blame for things that you're all over. Is, in that sense, is Barack Obama being Churchillian? Is he still able to avoid the blame for the economy?
Well, when you're talking about the blame for the economy, he rolls out all the rosy numbers, but when you take a look at some of the real statistics that are out there, the number of people who have left the workforce, average incomes and those types of things, people aren't feeling good, and the American people aren't really feeling that good about the economy. And there's a lot of dark clouds on the horizon. I'd really like to ask the other Peter what his feelings are about what's going on with Europe, with the euro coming down, people talking about potential deflation in the European economy. What does that mean for the United States and our economy in 2015?
Well, if that question is for me, then I'd say that what's happening in Europe is going to have a major effect on the United States. It did in 2009 and in 2010. In 2011, they seemed to have solved their problems for a while. Greece was sort of under control, and then now Greece looks like it's going to be another problem for Europe. The problems in their economy will reflect in ours because the euro is declining in value, which means the dollar is stronger. When the dollar is stronger, it's harder for us to export to Europe, which is our major trading partner. So we're in for a tough time in the coming years. And one of the reasons for this is that the United States economy has not been driving the rest of the world's economy. It was China and the United States, and China is declining a little bit, but the United States has never really begun to grow since the financial crisis, and that's because all of the regulation we have put on business here.
Mr. Wallison, eBay is not the only company announcing layoffs. Schlumberger, an oilfield services company, announced 9,000 workers will be laid off, and Baker Hughes and Halliburton, two energy companies, announced 7,000 layoffs, both claiming the reason is the drop in oil and fuel prices. My question for you is this going to become a bigger issue as the prices continue to fall?
Well, of course, oil is a special case. Oil is now down substantially, about 50% from its prices before. And so many wells and other oil-related activities are no longer as profitable as they were. So some oil workers are going to be laid off. But on the other hand, lower oil prices, lower energy prices, help the rest of our economy. So I think there'll be some balancing here. There will be some movement between areas of the economy, people leaving the oil patch, going to other parts of the economy unless oil prices go back up. But it's not bad news.
Peter Wallison, let's bring it back full circle in about the minute 30 that we have left. Your new book, Hidden in Plain Sight, and the carryover effect from what happened in 2008, how do you counsel the reader of your book? We don't want to give it away, but why should folks pick up a copy of your book to find out what they need to do next?
Because the financial crisis in 2008 was caused by government housing policy. The American people have been told it was caused by Wall Street and greed and risk-taking and so forth on Wall Street. But it was caused by housing policy, and the consequences of blaming Wall Street was to put into place something called the Dodd-Frank Act, which is such excessive regulation that it has effectively slowed down the growth of our economy. What should be troublesome to people is that today, FHA, for example, has just reduced, at the president's request, has just reduced the cost of FHA insurance. Now, what that means is that we'll be able to sell more homes. Sounds like it's good. The trouble is that the kinds of mortgages that will be made are very risky mortgages, because that's what FHA does, and it won't be compensated for that. And those risky mortgages eventually are going to fail, as they did in 2008, and we had a financial crisis. These are the kinds of policies that the government has been pursuing now for the last 3 or 4 years, and the results will be disastrous if it continues.
We'll keep our eye on that, and we ask those who are watching us to keep their eye out for the new book, Hidden in Plain Sight: What Really Caused the World's Greatest Financial Crisis and Why It Could Happen Again. Our thanks to the author of that book, Peter Wallison, who joined us from Newsmax Washington, and we'll be back following this Newsmax Now update.